Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Affiliation Betting Collaboration. So glad to have you to join us today. We have an amazing show lined up for you. We got the play-in tournament coming back tonight for the NBA. We got Week 10 of the NFL happening, and it's 4 crucial teams on bye weeks. You're not getting a lot of the top 3 in a lot of your fantasy teams. Not getting the top 3 in a lot of bets that were for sure things. So we're going to scour the line for you. Going to be looking at what we can get you here and get you some profit. Always looking to be a profitable bettor. That's always our goal here. As always, joined by Evan and then Coach coming back second week in a row. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
One of us has to go. I guess I'll start. I'm good, man. Thank you, Iggy. Happy to be back, man. Got, as you saw, got the little guy here. Holiday, happy Veterans Day to all those vets out there. But I'm good, man. Happy to have Coach back on. Here's Wesley to say hi right there, poking in.
Yeah, happy Veterans Day. Is that tomorrow? Yeah, happy Veterans Day.
It's tomorrow. Yeah, everybody's celebrating, remembering it today. So we won't be on tomorrow, so we'll make sure we throw that in there today.
Absolutely.
What's up, Coach?
Yeah, lots of veterans out there. I want to salute to them. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing all right so far. Getting over this cold virus, whatever the heck you want to call it, that I've been dealing with. But ready to talk some bets. A lot of the things that I looked at last night that I liked, I was telling Iggy before the show started, a lot of these lines already moved on me. So we'll see if you can still get them on a couple different books, though.
Yeah, Coach out here sharking everybody. Let's get right to it. Let's get to some of our favorite NBA bets. Let's go ahead. We'll go Coach Evan, and then I'll wrap up at least one. Then we'll probably get up into another NBA bet as well. What about you? Let's get with the prop, Coach. What prop you got for everybody?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say I'm just counting here how many I got. So I got 3 props, 1 money line, and then I got a handful of kind of long shots for today overall. So I'm just going to mention like the 2 that I had last night that the lines had already moved on. So I had Isaiah Stewart over 9.5 points at -130. That's been bumped up to over 10.5 points at -130. So I like it a lot. If you can get at 9.5 out there still on the books, he's hit that in 7 of his 9 games this season. He's averaging 12.3 real life points per game. And then Rudy Gobert was the other one. It was at over 11.5 rebounds at -134. He had to hit that in 6 out of 7 games this year. He's averaging 13.6 rebounds per game. He's coming off 2 monster rebounding games. That line has been bumped up to 12.5 though now at least on BetUS is kind of where I go from. So those were the 2 that I had that changed already. And then the other one that I liked last night that I thought was a really good odds already with the numbers there was D'Anthony Melton over 3.5 assists. He's hitting all but 1 game this season. He's averaging 4.4 on the season. Last night it was at -102, so I took it at -102 last night because that was good odds because I figured it's going to go down to like -120 range today. It actually went up to +108 on BetUS earlier today, so I went ahead and just took it straight again. And then I'm just going to throw that money line out there before we get talking too much. We'll get into my long shots later for NBA today. But the money line, I like the Jazz money line at +163 versus the Grizzlies. They beat them like 9 days ago pretty handedly too. So I don't get that one whatsoever.
Yeah, I was wondering. That one had me perplexed again. I mentioned that in my fantasy alarm articles. I was like, I don't know how Memphis keeps getting these negative money lines when they are, won 1 game this year, but hey, we don't question it. Let's just attack it, right? Evan, what do you got for us, man?
Yeah, I mean, Coach knows I was big on that Gobert line too. I wanted to make that the prop of the day. Now it's gone up, but I mean, like Coach said, he's 13. The matchup is there. I mean, obviously, if you can find 11.5, but I love that play and I love the Jazz as well. But I like Luguentz Dort, the Oklahoma City Thunder, over, I think that's how you pronounce it, over 12.5 points. He's averaging 15 on the season. He's got a great matchup against Sacramento today. Sacramento gives up plenty of points. I don't know what – the Kings pulled out a close game against the Blazers the other night. It wasn't that pretty. I don't know. De'Aaron Fox is out a good amount. That obviously affects them as a team. I think they're just different with Malik Monk in that role as they are off the bench. OKC can score. SGA is going to get his, but it's only at 12.5. I just think that's a low line in this matchup with what the Thunder do scoring-wise and what the Kings give up. So I like him at over 12.5 tonight.
Is he a small forward? Is that what Dort is?
They play 1 in, 4 out essentially, and then everybody else is versatile. So all those guys kind of switch and rotate out. So technically, like if on paper you could argue that he's a small forward or a power forward between him and Jalen Williams, but they all kind of rotate roles.
Yeah,
even,
the new modern style.
Yeah, he's been scoring the ball pretty well lately. Josh Giddey's been shooting atrocious from the field so far this season.
He'll get it around. Some of these guys just that it's really true in the NBA. A lot of these guys may not do much in the summer. They may just completely let go, and they really do play themselves into shape. And you're kind of seeing that with Giddey, lack of discipline, younger guy. That's all right. I have faith he'll get there. Any other bet you want to cover, Evan? From a prop standpoint or anything like that?
I'll drop that same game. I mean, Sacramento again not rebounding the ball well outside of Sabonis. Really, Thunder not a monstrous team. I mean, as we just mentioned, the rotation of how they play, kind of just that rotational, no big man, not too much. But Chet Holmgren's there. He's rebounding the ball well, about 7 rebounds a game. Somebody's got to get some boards against Sacramento tonight. I like him at over 7.5. I think in this matchup, it's a good number. I think that he should be able to hit 8 with, like I said, Sabonis is going to get his. I'm not messing with, 13.5 on Sabonis.
What's crazy is we should cover that. It's just so
right.
high. It's just so
it's
high.
Hard because sometimes it's like that big number seems so obvious that I still want to take it, but I just like looking for that other angle where the number's not so high, and I'm going to use that same logic when we talk some football, right? You expect studs to do their thing, but those smaller numbers just look better. And like I said, Thunder do rebound the ball okay for the size that they are, better than they did last year. And Holmgren's done well. So, they're improving. Holmgren helps that. So I expect him to be able to get at least 8 tonight.
What's one thing I don't agree with is being able to be a Rookie of the Year candidate if you sit out the whole year. I mean, isn't that what John Morant did? Like, he sat out so he could come back and win Rookie of the Year. And
that was
like that. Ben
Simmons did it.
Ben Simmons, yeah, that's right. Ben Simmons, not John Morant. Yeah, Ben Simmons did that. And, I'm just not a fan of that. Yeah, you get paid. If you get paid, you're not a rookie. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Holmgren didn't even play a single game.
Yeah, but, I mean.
It is the same situation as Ben.
Building, you're familiar with your teammates. But I'll throw it out there. That's an interesting futures prop if you want to take a look at that. Okay.
There you go.
Hey, I love it when we all have the same mindset here. Y'all are both really big on Rudy Gobert, rightfully so. What I've done is I've taken the under on Karl Anthony Towns' rebounds because there's too much height there at San Antonio. He may be playing himself into shape. I'm not sure if he's just kind of getting squeezed out. The more the Timberwolves have rhythm with what they kind of bought into, or if he's just playing himself into shape, whatever it is, I just do not trust Karl Anthony Towns to get 9 rebounds tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. You got Victor Wembanyama. Collins is a pretty decent rebounder when he wants to turn it on down there. I think San Antonio is one of the tallest lineups in the NBA. So when you're going against that in association and you already have Mr. Rudy Gobert, he's not letting anything really get to the rim. He's not worried if it's the same team or the opposite team. It's just indifferent to him. That's who Rudy Gobert's been since he was the Utah Jazz. I mean, that's just what he does. So it's at -135 for me on DraftKings. I like those odds, and I'll speak for myself. I'm an over better. I'm naturally inclined to the over. So every once in a while, you just got to check yourself with an under. I don't think Cat is him. I think he's I won't say that he's not playing with effort. He's just kind of where they having him playing as a true power forward. He's not excelling in that role with the rebounding skills. So for me, that's out. I will go ahead and give you another over real quick. Going on my guy, and I've watched this guy, he's a 14, 15-year vet. Don't get me lying. Over a decade easily. And that name is Giannis, but it's actually Jonas is how we say it. Balashanoushis, man. And I've been on this prop a lot. He doesn't really play the fourth quarter. I'm assuming Zion is done with his personal matter. I'm sure.
He's questionable today.
I mean, in all no joking seriousness, I hope he was okay. But he's coming right back around. and I just think Jonas is good, man. He's a first quarter player. The more he becomes a veteran, the more he takes off the second half. His first quarter rebound is over 2.5. I'm just taking it, man. He plays well. Houston's good. I think Houston is surprisingly well. I'm blanking on the head coach name right now for some reason, but he's got them playing great defense. He went and got Dylan Brooks. I mean, they just embarrassed your Lakers, Evan. But I do think the Pelicans, we saw what they did to Denver. I've seen what they've done a couple times. I've actually listened to quite a few Pelicans games. They come out hot. They come out really hot. And part of that is because Jonas Valanciunas is still a first half player. He just don't got the gas to make it these second half of the games. That's at negative 145, 3 rebounds. Some people come out hot in the first quarter. A lot of teams come out slow, missing shots. That's our guy Jonas right there getting 3 rebounds. I think it's there. He's probably going to play about 8 to 9 minutes. We just need a rebound every 3 minutes.
And Sengun is listed as questionable with a back injury, so he might get some either Jock Landale starting or Jabari Smith sign over to the 5. So that helps him out too. But he's such a big liability on defense where he just doesn't play deep in the games because you just pick and roll him to death and he'll.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a reason people do that. Yeah, there's a reason he sits. They're going to figure it out. And even with Sengun in, coach, he plays outside the arc quite a bit, or he kind of plays a point center a lot of times. I think he's a great player. I'm just saying from a rebounding standpoint for the opposing team, that helps out as well. You move your 6'10" player to the free throw line. Well, you're just going to get those rebounds a lot easier. So
I think that also sets up Jabari Smith nice on his rebound prop. I was waiting for those lines to come out. I could not find those all night. I wanted to see Houston's rebounds against this Pelicans team that outside of Jonas really don't rebound the ball that well, So
yeah, they don't.
And if Sengun's out, he averages, I think, 9 boards a game. Jabari's at 7.5 is his line right now at negative 140. I hadn't played that yet, but I just pulled it up. It's there. I think I'm going to play Jabari Smith. Even if Sengun's in there, I think him and Sengun are the 2 guys. I think that line's a little low with the news that Sengun could be out. So I'm jumping on that right now as we speak. Jabari Smith over 7.5 rebounds against the Pelicans. And yes, man, I watched that game. I don't turn off Laker games very often. I did turn off that Laker game and switched over to that beautiful Nuggets-Warriors game and preluded that into the Kings-Blazers. So at least I got some good basketball after watching the Lakers look horrendous against the Rockets. I mean, they were red hot. I take nothing away from them. It doesn't matter that AD didn't play. That team is playing with some fire. I think Van Fleet and Brooks being there, Brooks isn't in the stat sheet. The Lakers need some fire like that. I mean, they need Dylan Brooks, right? The Rockets have something going on. And I think in the NBA, when you play hard every night, you're going to win a lot of games in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I totally agree with that. That'll segue into one of my other bets. But, Coach, what else you got for us in the association? A lot of good bets out there tonight. Or even if surprised, our parlay picks, excuse me, correct, Coach? You got a code for that, right?
Yeah, it's a random code though, so I'd have to put it down below.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I thought it was the same, but go ahead.
But for parlay play, it's just Coach Craig. For Bet US, I got a link for that too. We could throw in it as well. But I was gonna say with that Jabari Smith one over 7.5 rebounds, it's at minus 124 on Bet US, at least when I looked a little bit ago. So that's one that I kind of put in my long shot section just because I'm like, I don't want to bet it for sure. But if you want to jump on it early at this point in time and then hope Sengun gets ruled out, looks pretty good in that situation. A couple other long shots I got. Joel Embiid over 1.5 3-pointers made is at plus 190 tonight. He's hit the over in 3 of the 7 games this year. He's shooting 40% from 3 too this year, which is a good pickup. So it's not a guarantee that it's going to hit, but at plus 190, there's a pretty good return on it if it does hit. So, and then a couple other long shots we got. LaMelo Ball triple doubles at plus 546. And there's no Terry Rozier, so he's just pretty much doing whatever he wants on this team, whether it's rebounding, assists. He scored over 30 points the past 2 games too. They go against the Wizards tonight, who are not good, although the Wizards did blow them out the last time when Kuzma went off. But that's a story for a different day. If that game's close, though, he has a pretty decent chance of getting that triple-double playing about 34 minutes tonight. Let's see. The other 2 that I do have, because we talked about Jabari Smith already. So these were the kind of ones that are down in the long shots too. Malik Monk over 2.5 made 3-pointers. If he's out there and he's scoring the ball, he's going to stay on the court. And it's at plus 131 right now. He's made 9 3-pointers this past 2 games. 6 2 games ago, 3 the most recent game, and he's hit over 2.5 3 out of the last 5 games. So since Fox has been out, he's done it 60% of the time. So at plus odds, not too bad there. And then obviously one of Evan's favorites from early on in the season, Anthony Davis over half made 3-pointers at plus 220 today if he ends up playing. Although the last 2 games that he's played, he hasn't even attempted a 3-pointer. So
yeah, the last 3, right?
What?
Is it the last 3 or the 2?
I think it's just the last 2 that maybe the last 3 that he hasn't made one, but the last 2 he hasn't even attempted one. Although the last game he did play, he did get hurt too.
Which I don't understand. I mean, Darvin Ham said he wanted him taking 6 threes a game. He's barely taken 6 threes all season. I mean, the funny thing is the first couple of games, I think he only took 1 the first 3 games of the year, but he hit all 3 of them. So that prop hit, and the odds were nice. And then they started to juice it up, but now he hasn't done it. So, I mean, if there's a spot to jump back in that play, it's here, and he's a little banged up, but should play. Maybe that forces him outside a little more, so maybe he takes a couple more attempts tonight, but the Lakers can just get a damn win. That would be nice.
Or even if he's a little late down the fast break and he's just sitting at the top of the key and they forget about him, all of a sudden they pass him out the ball and he makes the 3. That's all it takes.
Love it.
But you got something for us, Evan, in the NBA world?
I'm gonna go back to that rebounding angle against teams that don't rebound well, and one of those teams is the Memphis Grizzlies. We've talked about them. Steven Adams gone; they don't know how to rebound. Steven Adams there, somehow the overflow of what he does and what he does individually is a big role, and they're just not as good right now, right? They lost Dylan Brooks, they lost that tenacity. They don't have Ja out there, so they're, like we said, how they're favored wherever they're playing is beyond me. But John Collins is. Last couple games, I think he had 9 last game, only 6 the 2 games before that, but he's about a 9 rebound guy a game. The matchup is there tonight. So I like John Collins over 8.5 rebounds. With that being said, I also like John Collins' little sprinkle on a double-double. We're talking 1 more board to hit 10. His points line is at 13.5. He should have no problem clearing that and being in double digits. So I think his double-double for Fliff, where I'm at, it's probably a little better on BetUS and some other places. So always shop around, get that best number. Again, put Better Vision on your, download Better Vision, get everything in one spot. Shout out to the sponsor there. A lot easier to see and make sure you get that number that you like. But it's plus 165 for me on a John Collins double-double. So I like both those plays. Memphis has been good to me in the double-double department and the rebound department. So like you say, Iggy, we talk about it, right? Go back to what? Go back to that well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's hidden. It's there, particularly on those team bets because Xavier Tillman, Triple J, they can only do so much. That's just the nature of the beast, and it's worth it, man. There's double prop. If somebody's on, they're on, and like Coach said earlier, Utah just kind of dismantled Memphis. I don't understand this line at all. I'm not sure what I don't know if there's like a player that's going to be out that we don't know about or what, but I just don't understand it. So, and I've got one more NBA straight bet here for us. I just went with, these 2 teams are playing awful, but it's play-in tournament. The Lakers, LeBron's plus minus 29. He's plus 29, and he's 38, or, he's 38 or 39, I forget. But I'm just like, I mean, come on. Like, the Lakers are not playing well without him in the lineup. He can only, he was supposed to be on a minutes restriction. That got blown out the window because they're playing so awful. But they just don't have an answer when LeBron's not out there. And I don't know what the reason for that is. I mean, D'Angelo Russell is a good guard. He should be able to direct traffic. He should be able to, set things up so they can get themselves in a position. I've said this more than once. I don't think Darvin Ham's I don't think that's an improvement over Frank Vogel. I really don't, so that could be part of the issue. But I just went ahead and took Phoenix on negative 3.5. Bradley Beal's playing, Kevin Durant's playing. I think that, they're still accounting for the Suns being blown out when Kevin Durant was playing way too many minutes. I think this helps him. Anthony Davis, even if he's playing, I'm not sure that he's like much better than Nurkic right now. Nurkic could outbody him. Can get a lot of rebounds, control that side of the court. And I think Phoenix is in play for a negative 3.5 cover here, right here. And it's at negative 108 right now. It's a little even better than that. And I think that's just a lot of Lakers money just flooding in per usual. The Lakers are still way more popular than the Suns. So I like that spread. I think it's a good spread tonight.
That hurts. Iggy. No, I mean, that's a great play. I stayed away from that for that reason. Obviously, I'm a Laker fan, so I can't go near it. Plus, I bet the Lakers to beat the Rockets the other night, and that was brutal. So And it was almost, I think it was like, they were like minus 150. I mean, it was pretty high when I took it too. So not a good call there, but yeah, I mean, Phoenix plays hard too. They rebound, they play decent defense. The Lakers don't do any of that. They seem to not really care. And when LeBron's not on the court and Anthony Davis is, you're talking about that plus minus. I don't know. It's off the top of my head. I think they're like minus 76 or something with AD on the court by himself with no LeBron. And that's just unacceptable for a guy that just got paid, max money and is supposed to be, an MVP candidate every season, if healthy, whatever you want to call it. He's a monster. That number can't be there. First off, it should be positive. That's just terrible. The Lakers, I mean, how short is Darvin Ham's leash? Remember they fired like Mike Brown after like 5 games one year,
Yeah, I do remember that.
They're not playing well. I'm interested to see, they don't play around there, and I don't know what they would do, but I agree too. Vogel was a good coach. I think that was a pull the trigger too soon kind of fire and bring in Darvin Ham. I don't like it. So, but I like that call. Phoenix. Beal hasn't been in there. Booker's only been in 2 games. So, the team that you're getting. I expect a KD show tonight, probably like 30-9.
Yeah, Bill should have some assists. I think that might be a good look as well. That's all my NBA bets. Do you guys have more NBA bets you'd like to discuss?
That's pretty much it. I mean, with the Suns too, I just mentioned, Beal played the last game. He played 24 minutes. If his minutes limit is up to even 28 tonight, it's going to be pretty good. And Grayson Allen's actually playing really well all of a sudden.
He is playing really well.
The first 3 games, he couldn't shoot to save his life. Then all of a sudden he's been in rhythm. And then even Eric Gordon didn't do too much in the last game, but the game before that, he went off too. So
he's been their leading scorer, I think, twice, Coach. I think Gordon's been their leading scorer twice this season. So,
and Grayson Allen was their leading scorer last game with 29.
Yeah. Grayson Allen, I think, is at 13.5, and his threes are over 2.5. I looked at his threes thinking he'll get some looks there, but I think it was like negative 140. So I didn't play it, but I looked at Grayson Allen. I'm right there with you. I like him tonight too. I would not be surprised. Just didn't quite feel pulling the trigger there, but I'll give one more non-prop. We talk about the under. I've been trying to be true to some unders. It's been working out, in the football world. It worked out last night with Chuba Hubbard. Easy under 43.5. Wasn't even close. I'm going under 225.5 in that T-Wolves San Antonio Spurs game. Minnesota's barely giving up 100 points a game right now. They're the top defensive team in points per game, and San Antonio's one of the bottom teams in points scored. I think the defense shows up tonight. I think Minnesota's not the greatest offensive team either. I just don't see – I see this being, if it's a blowout, I don't see it being more than 120 to 105, right under that. And I think that's even a little high there. I think Minnesota is more in the 110, 115 range, and San Antonio barely gets to 100. So I really like that number, trying to be true to those unders at some point. So that's the under I like tonight, under 225.5, T-Wolves and Spurs.
So first T-Wolves road game in like 5 games too, I think. So that'll be interesting.
Defense travels.
I was going to say, I did think of another long shot one. I didn't put it on my sheet, but I was looking at it and I'm like, this just looks too good. It was Harrison Barnes over 3.5 rebounds. So if you want to get if you just don't want to bet the Sabonis under, just bet that instead, because it's at plus money. It's at like plus 108 right now, I think it was on BetUS. And he's rebounded terribly this year, but he had 5 the last game. Last year, he was averaging about 3.5. The year before that, it was about 5. So if you want to get away from Sabonis and hope some of those rebounds go Harrison Barnes' way, and he's had a couple games lately where he hasn't played quite as many minutes. They had a couple of blowouts in there too. So at plus money, if you got a couple of dollars, you just want to throw down on it and get a little bit different, that's something you can do as well.
I do love that. Harrison Barnes, one of my favorite, led me to my first 2 fantasy champions. Well, I don't say lead me, but he was a good part of that, especially during those Mavericks years. He was playing a lot of minutes, kind of an all-around guy, defense guy, rebound guy, points guy, assist guy. It's one of those complete players that don't get talked about enough. All right, I guess I'll move us into the NFL right here. I've got, I think, could hit that are worth a look, and they're just under evens. The Colts at the Patriots. I think the Colts can go in there and win that game. Jonathan Taylor's coming back. Gardner Minshew's, getting a little better rhythm. Patriots they're flat ass awful, dude. I mean, they're just not good, dude. I mean, that's just the truth of it, And I just think that the Colts can go in there and sneak and get a win over New England. I don't trust them to have an answer for Jonathan Taylor. At some point, he's probably going to make a big play. He's getting back in rhythm. He's dominating those touches. And Gardner Minshew, I mean, he can put up points. That's been proven throughout his career. That's not a problem. So -125. I like the Colts there. And then I also like the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, Arthur Smith, we all hate you, but Kyler Murray's coming back on his first game. Arizona's won like one game, and Kyler Murray's supposed to fix all those problems. I don't think so. I don't think Atlanta's necessarily great, but they do have an underrated defense. I know it didn't look like it last week against Dobbs, but they didn't game plan for Dobbs. They didn't have anything ready for Dobbs. You know what? They're going to be playing the team that Dobbs just led. So similar quarterback with Kyler Murray. I think that Atlanta goes in there and gets the deal done and kind of stays competitive in this NFC South. So those are two of my straight bets for the NFL. What you got for us, Coach?
Yeah, I think so. I have the Colts one too as well on BetUS. I believe it was at 130 -130. I think you could bet different ways on that Atlanta and Arizona game. That's going to be a really interesting one to bet this week too. And then we all kind of assume that Kyler Murray's starting, but what if he doesn't actually start? I don't think they've actually declared that or not. And then obviously James Conner, if he comes back or not, is going to be a big factor because they've literally had no run game without him. Although that offensive line's kind of been mix and match pieces all year. I had the Texans money line. It was at +225 when I was looking last night against the
Bengals. Is that who they're playing?
Yep, against the Bengals in Cincinnati. But, T. Higgins was limited in practice the first day, didn't practice at all yesterday in street clothes with his hamstring, so we'll see if he plays or not. Jamar Chase dealing with that back injury. He says he's going to play, but we'll see if he does play and then kind of how effective he is. So there's opportunities to be had there. If you only got to stop, Tyler, everybody's hyping up Tyler Boyd for fantasy because those two guys might miss, but it's like he doesn't even have that great a matchup for Severe Thomas in the slot anyways. So, it could be a decent Irv Smith Jr. week. That's kind of a big sleeper this week. So if you want to bet on some props there, especially if one of those two wide receivers is out, Texans have struggled some against the tight ends too. Lately it's just been Blake Cashman at one linebacker spot and then rotating, Perriman, Christian Harris, Henry To'oTo'o at the other spots. So it's been kind of a mess there. So those are kind of the straight props that I do have. I have a long list or straight bets for the money lines and games, but I have a long list of props here. So I don't know if you want me to split this up at all or just rattle them all off. It's up to you.
Let's split them up a little bit. We'll get back to yours. Let's go to Evan real quick, and then we'll come back to you, Coach.
Yeah, I'm waiting for those Bengals-Texans lines to come out as well, man. I'm big on Irv Smith this week. We talked a lot about him yesterday across the board on a lot of shows, and I know Tyler at Fantasy Football Advice Network, too. He's big on Irv this week. JC not so much, but that's just because he was a Viking that never succeeded, so he's a little heartbroken, and he knows it, but that's okay. But I like Irv Smith, and obviously the other side, Dalton Schultz has been great, and Cincinnati's probably one of the, if not the best matchup against tight ends. So look at Schultz, look at Irv Smith for sure in that game. Speaking of Kyler Murray, I hope he plays because I'm taking a Kyler Murray prop. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray's rushing yards over 26.5. He's a rushing quarterback. It's what he does. It's also what Dobbs did there, but that's Kyler's game. And regardless of what happens in this game, Kyler's not playing if he's not ready to go. He's not coming off an injury early. He's rested. He's been out. He's rehabbed. I don't see any sign of a setback for him. Does that mean he could have an injury? Sure, anybody can. But I think Kyler's good to go. I think that's just a strong part of his game. You go back to 2022, hit that number in 75% of the games that he played. And in the games that the Cardinals play well, that's what he does. You can't take that aspect out of his game. I think that number is just going to continue to increase. So I'm going to get it at 26.5. Not necessarily increase this week, but increase over the season if he continues to play. It's one of those numbers that I think we're getting a little lower because of everything we've talked about. So I really like Kyler over 26.5. Going to a different game. I like Josh Reynolds, Lions receiver, 29.5 reception yards. Listen, the last two games, he hasn't really been involved, but he played the Raiders and the Jets, two really, really good teams against wide receivers. Amon-Ra was fed. You see that happen, right? We saw Keenan the other night. It was all Keenan all the time besides Eckler. This Charger defense is the worst defense against the pass. They still give up the most yards per game, even after Zach Wilson did nothing the other night. They're still the worst team in passing yards allowed. So 29.5 to me. Amon-Ra's at 84.5. I'm not going to be surprised if he gets 150. But we're talking about that lower number and liking the chances. I just think somebody else has to catch the ball. Even if every guy hits their prop, Amon-Ra, Laporta, Reynolds, there's still another 100 yards to get to what the Chargers give up per game. Gibbs is going to get a few. So I just think there's too many yards to go around. 30 yards should be easy. He's hit that in every other game besides the last two. And his reception prop is at plus money over 2.5. So 3 catches, over 30 yards. I think Reynolds is a great play, great matchup. So those are the first couple I got.
You forgot one thing with Josh Reynolds, too. Him and Jared Goff have been together forever, and they're like best friends.
He was one of my late round sleepers in my deep leagues for that reason. He loved throwing to him with the Rams as well. I love that, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, go ahead and break it down for us. You got a lot of prop action, so.
Yeah, so I got a lot of ones here. So I got Breece Hall over 2.5 receptions. He's at minus 150 right now. He's hit this in his last 5 games, though. So they're probably going to dump off to him once again. I was looking a little bit at the rushing yards, but this one seems a little bit better, a little bit safer overall. Then we got Evans boy, Rashad White, over 24.5 receiving yards at minus 114. He's hit it 4 out of 8 weeks. He's also hit it the last 3 weeks. So I'm buying a little bit more into that. Or you could look at the reception part at over 3.5 at minus 120 right now. He's done that 4 out of 8 weeks as well. But then he also has 3 more weeks where he did have 3 receptions in those games too. So even if you want to tease it down to him just having 3 receptions and then you parlay that with something else, you could do that. I got a lot of ones like that this week. So then we get down to Michael Pittman Jr. over 5.5 receptions. I see at minus 139 right now. He's done that in 6 out of 9 weeks so far this season. He's got another week with 5 receptions, so 2. So if you really want to tease it down to 5, you could. And then obviously Josh Downs is banged up. Josh Downs did try to play last week and unfortunately did not go too well for him or my fantasy team that played him as well. Then we get down to even more I got a lot of wide receivers here this week. So Deontay Johnson over 5.5 receptions at minus 107. He's hit that 2 out of 3 weeks since his return. Obviously, he's going against your Packers, Iggy, but the other week that he did do, the other week since his return, he had 5 receptions. So he's had at least 5 receptions the 3 weeks that he's been back. He's drawn a ton of targets. Even if you want to tease this down to 5, it's probably not going to make the odds that terrible since it's already at minus 107 for over 5.5. So if you want to parlay that, maybe with the Rashad White at tease down at 3, could make some sense there. One that I do like at plus money this week is Amari Cooper over 4.5 receptions. He's only hit it 4 out of 8 weeks this season, but he's hit it 3 out of the 4 weeks that Deshaun Watson has started and finished the game. We're going to throw that Colts game out because he threw 5 passes in there. But, people are kind of low on it because of Baltimore. The Baltimore game, he had 6 targets, only 1 reception, but that game was not with Deshaun Watson last time around. But it's at plus 122 right now, so I do like the odds there. If you really want to tease it down to 4, you could probably do that as well. And then Christian Kirk, I think, God, when were we talking about Christian Kirk? I don't remember where that was from. But against Oliver, I think it was.
Always talking about him.
Yeah.
Always. We all love Christian Kirk over here.
So 4 out of 8 weeks, he's hit the over for 4.5 receptions. It's at minus 159, so not the greatest odds right now. 2 weeks did come with 4 receptions, so if you want to tease it down, just a little bit better hit rate there. Goes against the 49ers. It's Isaiah Oliver in the slot, who, if you look at his PFF grade this year, it's better than probably should be, but he's still their weakest corner by far, so that's going to be the way that they're probably going to want to attack them overall. More receptions ones here. I'll finish up my receptions, and then I have a tackle plus assist and an anytime touchdown, so I'll leave those off till a little bit later, but just get through the receptions. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 6.5 receptions at minus 124. He's hit it 3 out of 7 weeks, but if you go back 3 more weeks, he's had 6 catches. So if you want to tease it down to having at least 6 catches, it's going to look pretty good there. Goes against the Chargers this week, which, they give up passing yards in a pretty good bunch. If Amon-Ra's on the outside, if he gets Michael Davis on him, if he's in the slot and he gets Ja'Sir Taylor on him, it's going to be pretty good. If I was the Chargers, shadow him this whole game because he's their only good corner. Like if you look at, because I was digging through for my matchup sheet this week, and Asante Samuel's been really good. The other 2 corners, completely terrible. So that's what I would do, but I'm not their coach. And then last one for receptions, Garrett Wilson over 5.5 receptions at plus 104. He's hit out 4 out of the last 5 weeks. And I believe they're going against the Raiders, I think it is this week.
How many receptions is that again?
5.5.
Okay.
It's at plus 104 on BetUS, and he's hit it 4 out of the last 5 weeks. I mean, and even if you want to tease that down to 5 with parlay it with some other things, he's got even better hit rate over the long term of the season. But as of late, he's been really, really involved, drawing a lot of targets.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. So, yeah, that segues me to my props. I kind of focused all on the defensive side today. So I got 3 props for you. One of them, let's just start with the best in the business, Foya Alakun. He's got the high prop per usual, 10.5. Sounds crazy, but the Jaguars give up the most receptions to running backs. I think it's 6 point something per game. Guess who's coming to town? CMC, Mr. Reception RB. And Foye is just going to be all over the place against that offense anyway. I think it's a safe bet. It's at negative 130 on DraftKings right now. Jonathan Owens came in. Now, Reed is coming back, or he's been practicing at least. But Jonathan Owens came in. Everybody knows him better for being Simone Biles' boyfriend or husband or whatever they may be at their stage in dating. But he came in and he was the leading Packer tackler last week. He had a sack. He had a fumble recovery. Joe Barry, as much discredit as people like to talk bad about him, he's not going to be too stupid to keep that guy back out there. So his tackles and assist line is at 4.5. If you played with IDPs last year, Jonathan Owens was just amazing because he gets targeted so much in the reception game. Coach is a resident Texans fan, but he had like the first 3 out of 4 games, I think, were up pretty high, and then Petrie came in and just basically filled that same role. But Jonathan Owens over 4.5 at negative 150. That's a lock against Pittsburgh. You just heard Coach talk about how Pittsburgh's had good reception totals. So who do you think that's going to go to? It's going to go to Owens, okay? And then the last one, it's that straight pretty much prop. Had a career game last week, but I'm just sticking with my narrative of the Colts being ahead. The Colts having more play script, playing with the positive game script. And it's Juwan Bentley over 7.5 tackles plus assists. He's just a stud. He's all they have over there, essentially, in that linebacker core. And they just don't have that front defensive line that we're so used to seeing from the Patriots. So every run is getting to that second level. So Bentley should be good here, 7.5 tackles. If you're feeling dangerous, you could combine all those for a 3-pick parlay. That's at plus 451. I prefer you just put a unit on all 3 of them, walk away with some positive money, because if 2 out of 3 of those hit, then you're still walking away with positive cash. So, like I said, Foye over 10.5, Jonathan Owens over 4.5, Juwan Bentley over 7.5. Evan, what do you got for us, man?
Hi, Wendy. Wendy's got a who is the cute kid picking. I don't think she's talking about us 3. So he rides, though, with Iggy and Coach all day long. Whatever they pick, we tail all day, right? Are you riding? Yeah, there you go. He's riding, so we're good to go. Yeah, I love me some Rachaad White. I had to get off the under this week. I said last week if he did 15 for 60, I'd bail. He did 20 for 73, so see you later on that one. But he was right at like 14 for 58 too, I think, at one point in the game. I was like, all right, well, there it is. Yeah, they were able to feed him last week in that high-scoring game. But his receiving prop, 24.5 yards. He had a catch last week for 27 yards. I looked into this thinking maybe the Titans were just a tougher matchup in that realm. They're not. They've had some games where they haven't really faced running backs that were utilized the way White is. But when they have, guys have been right around that number or higher, and he is a pass-catching back. That's what he does. Tampa, we talked about this last week, and he crushed that number of, I think, 27.5 last week. I think it went down. I put 3 units on Rachaad White to hit that number this week. That might be my favorite bet of the week. I could not find a reason to stay away from that. I also like Ramondre Stevenson in that game against the Colts for Patriots Colts. I think 21.5 reception yards. The Colts are going to be able to score. Coach picked the Commanders last week at plus money. I thought New England's defense would show up a little more in that matchup, but Howell picked them apart. I think Minshew can have success too. Ramondre's been involved in the passing game. I think 5 or more targets in the last 4 or 5 games. 21.5 is not a lot there. I think that they'll use him regardless of the game script. And if Indy does put up some points, they're going to have to combat that. So I like that a little better than his rushing prop. Even though Indy is not good against the run, I think I'm leaning more that Indy puts up points and New England will throw to Ramondre more than run the ball. So if that's how it goes, if New England gets ahead, I think Zeke and Ramondre could be fed a lot, and that could change the narrative. But 21.5 is a good number. And in that same game, I like Juju Smith-Schuster, man. 6 catches last week for 51 yards. You look at my X account, everybody laughed last week about Juju being ranked right around 80. He finished wide receiver 25 in fantasy last week. The receivers are no different there today. Indy's a decent matchup, better than decent matchup for wide receivers. His receiving line is only at 25.5 yards. I think he gets another 5-6 targets in that game. Again, we talk about the Colts putting up points. I think Juju's able to hit that number easily. So, same game there. You can definitely do, both of those together if you want. Do them separately. Obviously, you know me, I love plus money and I love 2-leg plays. So I'm playing them separately and I'm playing them together. So that's how I roll, man. I either hit it and it's big, or I don't, and it's not a fun day in that matchup. But I like those right there. Wendy did drop a question here. We can just kind of check this out real quick. In a guillotine, would you play Burrow or Lamar this week? I'm in the final 3 and want to keep going.
Lamar versus Cleveland, or Burrow with possibly out his 2 wide receivers against Houston? I think I got to go with Lamar here. I think the floor is higher, and I think the ceiling's higher.
Oh, that's a tough one, though, because I feel like Burrow has the better matchup in theory, but then you got to factor in the wide receivers. Like, Lamar's been so good lately, but Gus Edwards is stealing all the freaking all the running backs taking all the touchdowns last 2 games. It just it sucks so bad.
He tore apart Cleveland in the past game. Mark Andrews was wide receiver or tight end 2 in that game with 2 touchdowns. So, I'm leaning Lamar. That's where I'm at with it, Wendy.
He's probably safer at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and Baltimore's at home in that game. I think that helps, a little bit too. They don't have to go to Cleveland. They play a lot better at home. And hey, Lamar, he hasn't been in the end zone. So maybe this is the game where he has to do it with that tougher Cleveland defense. He uses his legs a little bit more. And I mean, if Chase ends up leaving the game at all and no Higgins, I mean, you saw what Baker did against Houston, but yeah, I think it's just a safer play. So I guess we're all in agreement there to play Lamar.
I mean, a guillotine, you don't have to be the top scorer. You just can't be last, right? So
you gotta be safe.
What's going on, David? Thanks for joining us, man.
What's up, David? Thanks for hopping in, bro. I went ahead and added Breece Hall. I'm looking at Rashid Wright. I don't have any more props, Coach. Do you have anything else? Or
so I got 3. I got the tackles plus assists and then 2 anytime touchdowns. I was gonna say 2 even with Iggy's the Ramondre Stevenson receiving yards. Like, if you want to get real cute too, you could do some Zeke receiving yards. I think he's only at like 6.5, 7.5. So you can get that on one play, even if he's not as spry as he once was. But with the O-line kind of banged up the way they are, with the essentially no offensive weapons, they got to throw to somebody and they got to get the ball out quick. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I don't even remember what the odds are on that one. I just remember seeing it. I'm like, that's not terrible. But in terms of what I got, so tackles plus assists, we got Cameron Bynum once again over 6.5. Is at -113 over on BetUS. He's hit the over in 7 out of 9 games. Didn't hit the most recent game, but it's pretty much been, a plug and play for this prop all season. And at -113, that's not bad odds whatsoever. Anytime touchdowns, we got Alvin Kamara. Anytime touchdown here, it's at +100, so just even money essentially. He's got only 3 touchdowns this year, but we all remember what happened the last time he played the Vikings. He scored a plethora of touchdowns in those games. So that's probably why the odds aren't as great as they probably should be in this game. Taysom Hill's been snatching up some of those touchdowns inside the 5, though. But, I think there's a good chance that he gets there. I was looking a little bit at his rushing prop. I think it was 51.5 too as well. Hasn't really done it as much this season, but it's a good matchup versus Minnesota as well. And then last but not least, our anytime touchdowns. Kareem Hunt anytime touchdowns at +290 right now. He scored 4 straight weeks. 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks.
Baltimore's defense is improved, I guess. I mean, the bookies aren't pushing it; they're not having it. So that's
I don't even care. Like, they could score 1 touchdown the whole game, but it's still probably a decent chance that it's going to be Kareem Hunt at this point too. So
yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, I like that. Evan, you got anything else you have before we wrap it up over here?
Yeah, I'll throw 1 or 2 more in here. But looking at Zeke real quick on that, I just pulled it up. I see it at 7.5 on his receiving yards at -130. So it's probably even better in other places. He had 3 catches for 15 yards last week. The previous 2 games, he didn't have any catches, but the 2 before that, 15 yards on 1 catch, 17 on 4. So with what we're talking about in that matchup, if you like that game script that we see, 7.5 might only take 1 catch, and his reception line is over 1.5 too. So we've been talking kind of about that sneaky second play outside of the favorite. He fits that narrative too. Maybe it's a week for some of those plays. So I was interested to see what those numbers were. I got one more for you. It's Najee Harris for me. His rushing prop is 53.5 rushing yards. I love you, Iggy. Green Bay still can't stop the run. Doesn't mean Najee has a big game. 53.5 is not a lot, but you look at the games where Pittsburgh's been in the game, whether it's neutral or ahead. Take out Cleveland, take out San Francisco and Jacksonville. A, they're all 3 tough against the run. B, they got blown out by Jacksonville and San Francisco. Najee really didn't have anything to do in that. Every other game they've played, he's been over 14 rush attempts, and he's had over 53.5 yards in all those games. Mike Tomlin does what he does. Pittsburgh does what they do. They're not going to go away from that. There's no reason he shouldn't be around that 13 to 15 carry mark and go above that number. So his rush attempts are also at 13.5. I'm not opposed to that number. We like Pittsburgh. We like Tomlin, right? So I think the yards are there. So over 13.5 rush attempts, I like it as well. Over 53.5 rushing yards. Doesn't have to have a big day in the stat sheet or in the fantasy world where everybody's looking at him, but in the betting world, it's a good number. So
I like it, man. I went ahead and put a double unit on White, and I got a unit on Hall. So if y'all let me down, I will let you know about it. But yeah, that's it. I got a boost real quick before we get out of here. I don't think I'm going to take it, but what do you think? Boosted to plus 150. Can put a $25 bet on it still. LeBron and Kevin Durant over 55 points. LeBron on back-to-back nights. What do you guys think about that? It's at plus 150.
So how many total points?
55 combined for both of them.
God, I could see KD going. I mean, I said 30 for KD earlier. That gives you 25 for LeBron, and KD could have more than that. I think he had 38 the other matchup. Yeah, plus 150. You got me.
You think you're taking it or no?
Yeah, I think I'd put something on that.
Even in back-to-backs? What about you, Coach?
I think we lost Coach there. Well, LeBron was that was 2 nights ago.
Oh, that was Houston, wasn't last night?
That was Houston, and no Laker played in that game, so he should be ready to go, man. I mean, they did nothing, bro. I don't even want to talk about that, but here's Coach coming back in. Yeah, I think I like it. See what Coach says.
I'm trying to build a parlay. So what would you rather have? Would you rather have LeBron James, Kevin Durant, 55 combined points or more at plus 150? Or would you rather have Utah money line, John Collins over 8.5 rebounds, and Jaren Jackson Jr. over 1.5 blocks at plus 60?
Hold on.
What was the second one?
So the second one's the same game parlay. Utah Jazz money line, John Collins over 8.5 rebounds, Jaren Jackson over 1.5 at plus 60.
And that's plus 625, and the other one's only plus 150.
Yeah, but it's LeBron and KD over 55 points or 55.
What? How many games has Jaren Jackson had 2 blocks?
A lot.
Because I like the Utah. I mean, we're all on the Utah, and I think at least an agreement on John Collins. Which I mentioned. So we already kind of have 2 of those plays strong on this panel today.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I took Collins over 13.5 points just in case they actually start Kelly Olynyk at center today, just to be a little bit safer because he's been pretty much over 13.5 all year is what I did on prize picks for 3-leg. But
I like Collins points.
Pretty bad lag over here. He's averaging 2.1 a game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, was it last year he led the league in blocks, I think, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're getting plus 500 better. You got to add a third leg in there. I mean,
but he's only gotten 1 block in 3 of the last four games.
Where's Jalen Suggs when you need him? Dude had 7 steals last night.
7 steals. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I was going to do a parlay and just put in at
You know
least
what?
one.
I could just parlay it all together.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And that is plus 13.15. Maybe I'll just do that because I get a money back if I don't.
Or you just throw the Marvel Ball triple-double on top.
You put it all together?
Right. I want to say to get it before we get out of here.
Hey, what? I know last week we didn't hit the TDs. We didn't get CeeDee Lamb or Brees Hall. We did get Taysom Hill. So I know Coach has some anytime. Do you have any other ones, Coach? Let's do a 3-time anytime TD for all 3 of us, and I'll put it in right now.
Well, I mainly got the 2 this week, the Alvin Kamara and the Kareem Hunt one. So if you want the better odds, take Kareem Hunt. I mean, Hunt's pretty. I can't even say that Kamara is more likely to do it because Hunt's done it the last 4 weeks, you know. But
so Hunt,
I guess
I'm plus 200 odds, man. That's not bad.
it's plus 290 on BetUS.
what you got for me, Iggy?
Anytime touchdown?
Anytime touchdown, 1 pick. Your favorite pick?
Let's go, man. I gotta.
You go back to Taysom.
I think I'm gonna go Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon, okay.
Pretty good one.
Let me see here. So Mixon, doing this right now. Again, shop around for the best numbers here. I'm doing this on mine, but what did you say you have Kareem Hunt at?
Plus 290 is what it's at on BetUS.
He's plus 315 on Flip.
That's even better.
So we'll take that. And then I'm going to go with Tony Pollard. That guy hasn't seen the end zone in forever, but this is finally a matchup where I think he'll get to use the rock. Cowboys should be ahead most of the game. I think he finds the end zone. It's minus 140, I believe, but he's just due for a touchdown. Talked about Olave last week being due. He hit. I should have probably chose him, but that's all right. Let me find Cincinnati here.
And also, guys, what do you think about this head? I got this is for the in-season tournament winner. I got New Orleans Pelicans 0-300, Dallas 0-110, Golden State 0 means how much I put in on it. Golden State 0-120, Boston I got 0-37.5, Denver. I did put 50 on it, but collectively I have 600 if they win. Minnesota 0-150, Philadelphia 0-195. Is there any team I'm forgetting to hedge that?
I don't think so.
There's like random teams that are just like it seems like they're taking it more seriously, but I don't know.
I think
that 3 touchdown. We got Mixon, we got Hunt, and we got Pollard. It's plus 1,119, 1119, and we'll do it right now. Boom.
There you go, baby. I love
Man,
it.
also, just saw some lines for Bengals Texans. Irv Smith is plus 340 to get in the end zone if anybody wants to jump on that Irv bandwagon.
You know,
Not bad.
There's another random guy. I think somebody was messaging me saying Higgins is out now, supposedly, but there's a random guy they've only used at the goal line so far this year, or down near the goal line for the Bengals. It's Andre Yoshivas.
Yeah, he's been in there, man.
He's got 2 touchdowns on the year, so I don't know what his odds are, but if you just want to spend even like 0.1 unit on it or something, it's still going to have a pretty good return.
He's not even available on here right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe he comes out as the days keep moving forward. But he's got 2 touchdowns on the year, but that's the only time they used him is down around in the red zone.
Yeah, they haven't released. They have the touchdowns there. They only have Mixon's rushing prop. They don't have any yards or receiving yards or anything like that yet. So that game's been a lag. And Dalton Schultz is plus 200 to find the end zone. So I like Schultz and Smith in that game, like I mentioned. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, a lot of bets, a lot of plays.
Love
That's
it,
all
man.
I got, man. Last night was a good night. Thursday night football has been good the last 2 weeks.
And my kicker prop hit again. Eddie Piano, 120. I liked it. And then TJ Edwards hit. I missed another same game parlay by one freaking leg, and it was Tyler Badgett not getting 21 and a half rushing yards. Just sucked. He just waffled.
What did he get to?
19.
Oh, man.
See,
Yeah, I mean, Thielen, I lost Thielen on the hook. That was the only, lock I thought that would hit that didn't hit. My other two that didn't hit were Tremble plus 600 at an anytime touchdown, which was a long shot, and Deontay to get the first TD of the game. But I had Foreman plus 145 anytime touchdown. And then every Hubbard, every Miles Sanders, DJ Moore. It was under 19 and a half in the first half, under 41 in the game. It was a good night, man.
wait, you mean you didn't have Amir Smith-Marset to have the first touchdown of the game as a punt return touchdown?
I didn't even know if the Panthers would score a touchdown, let alone it be in front.
I'm pretty sure nobody had that, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you had defensive special teams covering, but that's about it.
I think people, if you did take that play, you were taking the Bears DST to get that first time, probably not the Panthers, but somebody out there got it.
The hedger. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for joining us. I do want to give a shout out to Better Vision. Just think you go download the app, track all your bets, track all your bets from different sports books. Have it all right there in one convenient place, in addition to your fantasy football team. So go check that out. And then just once again, thank you, Coach. You can follow you at what? It's Coach Craig. On X.
Coach for what?
It's Coach Craig Sports on X or what?
Yeah, just sport. There's no S on the end because character limits.
Okay. Coach Craig Sport. Then SoCal Ball Nerd with Evan, and then I'm IDP_Iggy. We appreciate you. And hopefully we put some money in that pocket this weekend. We'll see you here next week.